Welcoming the FinNexus team to our video interview. Thank you, Wayne, Boris, Nicholas, for joining today the session. We'll start immediately with the first question. Perhaps each of you can introduce yourself quickly and also explain your role at FinNexus. Perhaps, Boris, do you want to start?
Okay, that's no problem. Hello, I'm Boris. I'm founder and CEO of FinNexus. For me, I like product design, and I think I'm good at it. Product design was my responsibility in Wanchain before, and now in FinNexus. But now I have to pay more attention on marketing, business relationship, and other things. It is lucky we have Ryan on product design now. He is a professional at finance and takes more responsibility on our DeFi product design. And of course, Professor K gives us some strong support and brilliant suggestion on strategy, marketing, business relationship, and something like a token economy. So I think we have a good team.
Thank you.
That's my introduction, I think.
And you also introduced Wayne and Nicholas. That's great.
Yeah, Boris already introduced.
No. I just mentioned about you.
Perhaps, Wayne, you can introduce yourself and give us also already a bit of a background. Where do you come from? What's your original background? And what was your first touch point with blockchain and cryptocurrency? And what did lead you to FinNexus?
Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan. Right now, I'm based in Beijing. I was a former investment banker for like 10 years. And after that, I spent 2 years when I got back in Beijing. Boris and I, together with Nicholas, founded FinNexus. I first get to know blockchain when I was doing an IPO project in China. Then Boris goes through me all the white papers of Bitcoin. And after that, after I spent 2 years in Africa and see so many inflations and money depreciations around the whole African countries. So I think blockchain is the future and crypto is the future. So Boris and I, and together with a bunch of friends, we created FinNexus together. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Nicholas?
So in Shanghai, I did a lot of community meetups here for blockchain leading up into the BTC 20K. And, I was one of the very few people who were doing that here. And so I got to know a lot of people in the industry, and that led to, me starting to put that into my studies. So I'm getting my PhD, and I started putting blockchain stuff out for articles and journals and stuff like this. And then I started meeting a lot of people in the industry, and I held a meetup for Wanchain where I met Jack Liu, and we stayed in touch, and I met Li Ni and the rest of the Wanchain team. And whenever they have interesting ideas, they send it to me and ask me what I think. And they sent me this white paper summer last year, 2019. And I started helping these guys and got to know them and made some suggestions about where they should go and where they should not go. And lately I've been, focused on designing the token economy. So that's kind of my PhD research. So it's the most interesting thing for me. But yeah, it's been a fun few, almost a year now. Yeah.
Thank you, Nicholas. We'll come to the token economics later in the interview. Boris, can you tell us a bit about your blockchain background and what did you do before starting FinNexus?
Okay. That's before crypto industry, I worked in software and the internet industry for several years as product designer and entrepreneur. But I think if you want to hear something interesting, during that period, I had a short experience. I have never forgot. I created and run a restaurant. Unlucky, it was closed quickly in 3 months. Ryan know it. At that time, Ryan was an investment banker. He went to my restaurant and helped me to wash dishes. A banker helped me to wash dishes. Yeah. And after that, I think I joined the block crypto industry from 2015. I was so impressed by the white paper of Bitcoin at that time, and joined the industry in next year. I bought a BTC with almost all I have at that moment. From that time, I worked with Jack Lu, who was co-founder of Factum, and we built Wanchain together. Until last year, I started FinNexus with Ryan and other team members. I think that's my story.
Perfect. Good story. Thank you. Thank you, Boris. Good. Let's dive a bit deeper into the FinNexus project itself. I mean, there has been quite a social media buzz in the recent weeks and months, and you created a lot of material for people to educate themselves about FinNexus and what you're trying to achieve. There's a lot of content out there in the internet. And I think the objective today is to condense it down in 30, 40 minutes to really get the heart of it so that everybody is able to understand what you're up to and how people can get involved with your project. And I want to start with probably the most important question at the beginning. What actual problem do you want to solve with FinNexus, with your product?
Yeah, from the name of Nexus, actually, it's a combination of two words, finance and Nexus. Finance here, we always include the decentralized finance and the legacy finance. But compared with the decentralized finance, the legacy finance or traditional finance has been growing into a larger array of different assets and products. Right now, the locked up amount is almost hundreds of trillions of US dollars. And compared with that, the decentralized finance is actually quite small. We would like to make the combination of the decentralized finance and legacy finance into something new that is called the open finance. That is what the finance here means. And Nexus here means different kinds of connections. We want to connect the users and also the blockchains. Right now, it is the users have some difficulties to get access to the actual applications of the blockchain aspects. So we want to build the bridges and find a way to easily make connections and collaborations between the two sides. Also, in business level, we want to make the FinNexus into a kind of a supermarket or a hub of different kinds of assets. We want to provide with the users of products and assets with different profiles, risk profiles, and people may easily find their suitable products or assets according to their risk preferences. Also, FinNexus is building protocol clusters, we would like to call that, to advance and open finance through the establishment of one-stop shop protocols based on the three pillars of DeFi. Well, we will cover these three pillars later in this interview.
Okay. So we'll talk about the market of financial assets. You're not talking only about cryptocurrencies because they are very well accessible right now, but you're talking about real world assets and token assets of real world financial instruments, right?
Sorry.
So I'd like to add something. Today, we're in kind of a bear market day. Sometimes this happens in crypto. And the real problem that we're really trying to solve is very clear here. You see, when Bitcoin goes down, almost everything else goes down too.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not really a very good situation for an investor who's holding lots of money in their crypto. They should be able to move back and forth between real world assets without having to jump out into fiat. They should be able to get used to savings instruments and investments like different kind of liquidity pools or option liquidity pools or whatever. And they should be able to have a world view of their entire crypto portfolio where they're saying, oh, this is a risky asset and this is maybe a little bit more risky asset, and that's a really risky asset. And sometimes, you might want to log into your interface and say, let me rebalance this a little bit because the risky part has really grown up to be a big part of my portfolio today. And there's really no one global place to go right now. I mean, we're seeing some cool stuff being built on Ethereum that's just at its baby stages. But nothing that's been fully formed yet, and definitely nothing that's cross-chain. Okay. So that's where we kind of want to provide solutions.
I mean, there's a famous quote, right, that everything that can be tokenized will be tokenized in the world. But what specific assets are you focusing on? Is it stocks, commodities, debt? What do you actually want to tokenize first? Or do you have a niche you're catering for?
Yeah, okay, right now I think the point you just mentioned is,
You go
first.
Let
me talk first, Boris.
We want to tokenize the companies that come to us to tokenize their assets first. So we'll tokenize those assets first, and then have a proof of concept, and then move from there. But Ryan can tell you more about what our first batch of assets is.
Okay.
Yeah, just now you mentioned that everything can be tokenized and will be tokenized here in blockchain, but I find this point is arguable. Yeah, because we need to actually identify whether an asset or kind of a rights or something like that can be tokenized, whether it is beneficial for the users or the investors. For example, lowering cost or barriers, provide more liquidity, whether it is safer or more accessible. I'll give you an example. For example, there is kind of a tokenized car in the US, and this fractional ownership is sold to the holders somewhere like in China or in the Europe. But this one cannot get access to this car. So I think this kind of tokenization model is not quite so economically feasible. Right now, FinNexus is targeting the assets that has stable real-world cash flows. We need to examine the characteristics of this underlying asset or the underliers. And the due diligence of this kind of asset need to be conducted thoroughly. For example, the industry they are involved in, the region, the business model, ownership structures, or the income distribution structures, something like that. So at present, we are mainly focusing on something that is involved in the credit markets, supply chain financing, real estate, or even the copyrights. That is our main concern. And our first product will be within the field of the credit market. Yeah.
Okay. Can you give us a concrete example? What company or what kind of companies you want to support, or what companies come to you that want to tokenize assets, debt, and so on?
Yeah, sure. I will show some slides of our products.
Sure.
The key here is our products, we want them to be uncorrelated to the crypto markets. Or another one of our products is the Bitcoin options platform, so that you can control your risk.
Yeah, I want to go quickly through this slide. It's kind of the general methodology of the tokenization process. Actually, we put the tokenization process into 3 steps. The first one, as I just mentioned, is to examine the characteristics of the underlier and conduct the due diligence. The second one is define the token structure, which is very important. The technical language of the tokens might be similar, but the financial models can be very diversified and tailored to different financial models. There are listed 5 steps. That is the crucial factors to determine the token models or the token structures right here. And third one is to ensure a smooth tokenization process. We need a combination of the efforts of the product and the technical team, and also to carefully minimize the risk relating to the centralization nature of the real-world underlying assets. So we go to the very specific products we're designing right now. It is called UM1S, and it is highly involved in our token offering model, which is called Initial Convertible Token Offering, or ICTO. And the characteristic of this underlying asset is targeting the rapid growing credit market in Southeast Asia. It is developing very fast, and actually the percentage of the population in that region under the age of 35 is over 70%. It's got great potential. And this company is called UM. It provides short-term consumer loans to borrowers. And this operation is quite legit. We go through the license from the regulatory authorities, and also we check all the qualifications they have. This asset is kind of a package of consumer loans that enjoy steady and frequent cash flows and cash inflows and outflows. And also the loans are giving a relatively smaller amount, and the credit nature of the business is quite straightforward and steady. So based on this, we continue our tokenization process. The structure of the tokenization model is based on this kind of underlying asset. The flows out of these funds are in fiat currencies, because of the real world nature. And also it is in a relatively small amounts with high transaction frequency. And we consider the possible forms of these tokens. It can be representing the common shares of this entity. It can be preferred shares, debentures, or even shares in a pool of designated assets. But after careful thinking, we tokenize this in the form of the beneficiary rights of the future cash flows of the underlying assets. Actually, FinNexus packages this UM asset into a theoretical model that is often used in the traditional financial world, and the tokens are representing the beneficiary right. And this tokenization process involves the risks and the returns embedded in the underlying asset, which are oriented from the credit activities. These are asset-backed tokens with a determined and clear expectation of the returns. And the pools of the asset will be connected with the targeted subscription amount. Also, we consider a credit enhancement in this tokenization model with a hierarchical structure. We graded the tokens into two tranches, and the subordinate tranche will provide credit enhancement for the senior investors. And also, we provide the external credit enhancement measurements in these tokens. So these are the basic structure of the tokenization model we have right now, and we are going to launch into the market very soon.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan, for this elaborated explanation. Nicholas, you mentioned before you want to bring to the market that people can switch also instantly between crypto assets that may or may not be correlated to Bitcoin and those real-world assets you want to bring to the supermarket. But how do you ensure liquidity in this case?
Well, it depends on where we put it. So if we tokenize our Bitcoin options, maybe we'll make them ERC20 so that you can put them on Uniswap. So that's one thing we're thinking about. And then in the Wanchain universe, if it's in Wanchain, if we tokenize the WRC20, then we have DEXs there, and then we could bring the liquidity ourselves. So this is some way where we can actually earn a bit of margin that would then flow into FNX token holders as well, because it wouldn't be that much of a deep market that we'd have to insure there. I mean, it would be somewhat reasonable to make markets on these kind of microloan products. They're very short term, in about 90 days, at least this first one, and then they'll roll over. So we don't have to be maintaining multiple markets at the same time, at least as when we begin. But of course, in the long run, the goal is to be cross-chain. So we'll find where the liquidity is. So right now, there seems to be a lot of liquidity in Uniswap. So we're probably going to have to connect into Uniswap for some products. That doesn't mean that it'll be that way in the future, right? There's probably going to be cross-chain Uniswaps popping up all over. There's one in the works called Thorchain that's supposed to connect BTC and Ethereum and Binance Chain all together. So I would imagine, at some point Tron's probably going to copy that, and there'll be lots of these things all over the place. Our goal will be to bootstrap liquidity at the beginning and then find it wherever it is via our interoperable protocols.
Leads me a bit to my next question. You mentioned before at the very beginning, Nicholas, that there are other projects that share a kind of the same value proposition than what you're going after, like also bringing real-world assets to a crypto-based marketplace. On Ethereum, for example, Synthetics is one of those examples. We're working with derivatives. Sure. What other examples are out there in the market that try to share the same vision that you are? And how do you differentiate yourself against them?
Well, everybody knows Synthetics. I call it the first DeFi project because I don't think MakerDAO realized it was a DeFi project until after Synthetics came. Initially, MakerDAO is just a leverage product. That's what we used to call it. It's a way to get leverage with our Ethereum. But when Synthetics made its big pivot, in the crypto winter, they pivoted from being a stablecoin to being this basically a crypto supermarket where you use the SNX token as collateral for other assets. We're looking at adopting that a model like that, not at the beginning, but down the line. But I think everyone knows Synthetics, and it's a great project, and we can talk about it forever. But other projects that I'm really interested in right now are things like Zapperfi. Zapper.fi, and Zerion, Zerion.io. This is what I was talking about. It gives you kind of a world view of everything that's in your wallets. And you can say, look at this address and this address and this address and this address, and then tell me, how much money do I have in Uniswap and how much money do I have in Synthetics? Here are all my tokens. I think we can go another step further with that, and we can provide a cross-chain view. Like, here's all of my assets on XRP Ledger, on BNB, on Wanchain, Ethereum, Bitcoin, etc. And then here are all my opportunities, right? I could stake my Bitcoin into Wanchain, and I could earn some FNX through supporting our Bitcoin options protocol. I could stake my Bitcoin into XYZ. That's the kind of goal that we want to make it really simple for people, even really smart people that I know when they first approach crypto, they're just like, what the hell is going on? Like, I have to have how many wallets and why I have so many different keys, and there's like, wait, why isn't everything on one chain? What is going on? So our goal is to make a unified interface like that, where we would be taking micro fees off all the transactions. I love the Zapperfi model where I can enter 10 different Uniswap pools at once, and I only have to hit one button.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to pay a little bit more in Ethereum fees, but it's totally worth it because I just saved myself an hour.
So it's again about usability, great experience, ease of use, and going into a more mainstream direction, right?
Yeah, however we can facilitate that, Let's say you have UM1S and you don't want to wait for it to go to maturity and get the payment. You want to sell it. So, okay, you go to the interface, you say, oh, well, here in WRDEX it's liquid, and here on Bitrue it's liquid. I can sell it, and hopefully we can figure out how we can sell it directly from the interface. That's a dream of mine. But then you don't have to wait to get the return. You could just sell it on the market and then move into the next opportunity. Like if you think BTC is going to 20K or whatever. Okay. Let's make that easy for everybody in one window.
Perfect. And Wine,
Yeah.
That's the goal.
we talked shortly on Twitter about the Sologenic project. It's a very well-known project in the XRP community because it's built entirely on the XRP ledger. What's the biggest differentiation between those two? Sologenic is on-demand tokenization of mostly stocks and commodities, right?
Yeah. The Sologenic.
When you pointed it, yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead. When you pointed that out to us, I had never seen it. It's a great project, though.
Yeah, it's quite a great project. It's built on XRP ledger, and I think they're in business level. They are mainly targeting the tokenization of the stocks, ETFs, and all the securities that already existed on the traditional financial market. But our methodology is a little bit different. FinNexus is not limited to any public chain. It can open to any chains in the crypto world. Actually, what we are building is kind of a cluster of protocols that can make connections with different counterparties and participants. For example, we are built on Wanchain, but the next launch of our tokenized product will be on XRP, and later we might be launch something on Ethereum, maybe on Thorchain. So it's not limited to just the Wanchain. That's the first one. The second one is that we are trying to find assets, not securities, to be tokenized on the chains. Because right now the stocks and all the bonds and the ETFs and all the securities are quite sensitive token. They need to ask the permissions from the legal authorities. They need to get a license, and it is already securitized or kind of volatized, if we can talk about that. But actually, what we are trying to find is the right or the actually kind of asset that can be tokenized on chain and will be beneficiary for the users with its boundless or scalable nature lies inside. So maybe the securities are not our first target. Also, the tokenization model is only one piece of the picture of the Nexus. The other part, as just mentioned by Nicholas, is our decentralized model. We are going to launch the decentralized options models later in this year, and it is first applied on Wanchain, and later they will be on Ethereum. So we have two sides. One is the tokenization, and the other one is the totally decentralized model. I think that's the main difference between the two. They are also a very great project, but we have some difference.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. And perhaps also a question for Boris. What was the reason you started on Wanchain and also later switched or included also XRP ledgers, the first two platforms you want to build upon? Is there a specific reason? And also, what do you bring to those projects? Why should the Wanchain or XRP community be excited about your project?
Yeah. I think we choose Wanchain and XRP. Of course, we have some reasons. Wanchain, I worked in Wanchain. We have good relationship, and it's very easy to build cooperation with each other. And I knew about the functions of Wanchain. We can do something together easily. And Wanchain invest our project too. So that's, I think, is the reason. And for XRP, Bitrue exchange introduced lots of XRP resources to us, and we need a very big community. XRP is a very big community, and he has an idea about payment, something about payment globally. We want assets globally assets. So I think it's match something. So we it's why we choose Wanchain and XRP. I think payment and assets is match, and something like this. Yeah.
Perfect. And you mentioned like you will in the future roll out to other blockchains, other platforms. What would be what are the blockchains top of on the list? Ethereum is probably one of them, but what others would qualify?
You mean other platform
Yes.
plan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Different chains have different eco. Our strategy is to find good assets, evaluate which platform is suitable, and what benefits most of users on that platform. For example, XRP is more focused on tokenized assets payment, so we issue UM1S on it in next 2 or 3 months. We are developing decentralized options products mentioned above, which belongs to derivatives. We will make a BTC options token online first in third quarter, and extend it on Ethereum with more underlying assets during this year. On Ethereum, there are lots of the apps for finance, and users like to use them to hedge risk or leverage return. Options is a good choice for them. So we, of course, we want to put options products on it.
Okay.
One of our team members suggests we could issue XRP options token. I think it is also a good idea. We are thinking about it.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
That's the total plan. Yeah.
And generally open and based on the nature of the asset you want to tokenize, you actually look for the best suitable platform or blockchain you can do it, right?
Yeah. If you need cash, then probably XRP is the best option, right?
Mm.
I tried paying my noodle shop owner today with USDT. He didn't accept it. I still need to go to cash, and the best blockchain technology for that is still XRP. So I wish everyone would just switch to USDT and USDC. I could use that with everyone, but unfortunately, that's not the world we live in.
Okay. Let's switch topic a bit. A few days ago, you announced on Twitter and also on other channels that Band Protocol will be the Oracle service of your choice. And it was partly a surprise because, we all know oracles are essential for all DeFi platforms, right? But still, Chainlink has a market share of 95% plus. It's pretty much connected to every other project. But you decided to go with Band Protocol, which also a bit in the hype at the moment. What has been the underlying reasons why you partnered with Band Protocol and not with Chainlink or not one of the other Oracle services?
Okay, let's go first. Talk about cooperation strategy of FinNexus. Blockchain is an open world. We believe openness is why blockchain we could trust. So we neither refuse any cooperation with anyone, nor ask for any exclusive cooperation to our partners. For Band Protocol, we always have good relationship with their team members, so we know each other better. It's easy to build cooperation quickly. That is why we build cooperation with them first. Just the first
Okay.
cooperation.
Not necessarily exclusive, right? It's just the first.
Yeah. Not exclusive.
Okay.
Yeah.
But still, is there anything particularly on?
We think, Band Protocol has some great functions to use. Yeah.
Well, the first reason I like Band, I came from another project where I made them switch from NEM to Cosmos SDK, and Band is built on Cosmos SDK. I have a lot of respect for Kava, which also built with Cosmos SDK. And the great thing about Cosmos SDK is you can create an app-specific blockchain. So until we get ETH2, Chainlink is going to have to be stuck on Ethereum dealing with, well, last time it was CryptoKitties clogging up the network, and this time it's going to be DeFi clogging up the network. The next time we get ETH running up to $500, $600, $700,000, we're going to have a DeFi stablecoin clog on Ethereum. Now, we don't really want to have what happened to any of our products, what happened to MakerDAO using Ethereum-based oracles, and then they couldn't see the price feeds in time, and then they lost $4 million because they don't have a robust oracle, right? Band Protocol has an app-specific blockchain that's got 3 to 5 second block speed, and it's specifically tailored towards protocols. So once we build the connection to Band Chain, then we have a much higher probability of never having to deal with some of those problems that we saw with Black Thursday. But I think in the long run, Band Protocol is probably going to be a better solution for us. Not that we wouldn't cooperate with Link, but I mean, the other thing is Link is very big and they have lots of projects, and try to talk to Sergey for more than 5 minutes. It's really hard.
He's probably a busy man.
I can get Saravis on WeChat and talk to him right now.
Okay. Good.
So
it's
sometimes the bigger you get, the more the less customer service you can provide, and Band is really great with us, so we like it. Great,
thank you. You released a quite comprehensive roadmap. It gives a very good picture of what you're up to for this year and also next year. But if you want to really focus on 2-3 of the most important milestones that everybody who's interested in FinNexus should know, and you are most looking forward to, what would those be?
Yeah, I think this year we aim to issue 2 types of token in business side. One is everyone know UM1S, or we call it UM-XS, which is tokenized from and backed by real-world assets. Another one is decentralized options token. This is from a business side. In tech side, we will finish protocols development related to these 2 types of token. And I think this is the milestone of this year. In next year, we will focus on expanding scale and liquidity, making UM-XS and options token with better user experience, better mechanism, such as the collateral mechanism. In tech side, FinNexus would connect with more platforms. We will try to find and issue 1 or 2 type of new type of assets token suitable for the marketing at that time. That's all.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Let's talk now a bit about the upcoming token sale. I mean, it's starting tomorrow on Bitrue, your preferred exchange. And we have heard about ICOs, initial coin offerings in 2017, the big hype. We had STOs, a few of them very special for securities regulations. We had now IEOs the last weeks, months. Binance started with that, but you are promoting an ICTO, initial convertible token offering. Explain us a bit how this works, why it's special, and why you think it's currently the best way.
Okay, here this ICTO stands for Initial Convertible Token Offering. And here in this model, we have 2 kinds of tokens. FNX, which is the native FinNexus token, and UM1S, which is an asset-backed token. It's also a tokenized FinNexus product. The holder of FNX in the process of ICTO can have 2 choices. One is they can hold the FNX as it is, and to enjoy the benefits of the development of the FinNexus in the future. And the other choice is in 3 months, they can have an option to convert it into a tokenized product, which is called the UM1S. This UM1S token can give the holders annualized return of over 10% in 3 months. And the reason why we designed this kind of mechanism is to provide the holders of FNX with more choices. One can either hold FNX and expect it will grow much bigger in the coming days, or they can convert it into something more safe, which gives them a stable return. different investors may have different kinds of risk tolerance on the market. For example, right now we have 3 investors: Alice, Bob, and Mike. Alice is quite conservative, and Bob is a balanced investor, and Mike is quite aggressive. For Alice, as a conservative investor, if he participate in the process of ICTO, he holds 10,000 units of FNX. He can actually convert 90% of the the FNX tokens into UNYS and have stable returns in 3 months, and then quit the process with the principal and the interest in 3 months, and hold the other 10% and expect it will explode in the coming days. But for example, Bob is balanced. He can just hold half and half, half in UMIS and half in FNX. And for aggressive investor, he can keep the FNX as it is and hold it to enjoy the benefits of the FNX later. Actually, there is another kind of information in the ICTO process. The FNX tokens can be converted. It's got right to convert into some other tokens that will give you a stable return. And the converted tokens, the converted FNX will be burned. It will decrease the circulating amount of the total FNX and cease to exist on the market. So at end of 3 months, which is the conversion period, we will let market decide how many FNX tokens are left. Of course, the burned tokens will cease to exist, and the total circulating amount will just decrease, and it will not increase after 3 months. That is the basic mechanism we provide the market. Yeah.
If we get a lot of Alice investors who basically want to get free FNX, so if you buy 100 FNX and then you burn 90 and you get that money back and you get a 10% return on that 90, you're basically getting free FNX. Now, if we get a lot of Alice's, then at the end of 3 months, we're going to have a very, very, very small float on the market. If we get a lot of, what was his name? The very Mike's, then we'll have 44 million on the market. So it's still a small float, but if it's all Alice's, we could have, something like 10 million on the market, So it would be very interesting to see how this goes in the next 3 months.
Okay.
Actually, there's another interesting mechanism I didn't mention in the previous slide. Because of the conversion essence in the process of ICTO, it's kind of like the convertible bond or something. It gives the holders a kind of the right that will convert something stable, and it will also provide a kind of a price floor of these FNX tokens. If the price drops below the insurance price, the arbitrageurs and the clever people will step in, and they will make sure they will make conversion, and they will make sure that the price will not drop below the insurance price in 3 months. Yeah, that is also interesting.
Okay, it's very interesting. Yeah. And FNX will initially be tradable on Bitrue. Is it planned to extend it to other exchanges? Do you already have concrete plans?
Yes, actually.
Yes.
Okay, Boris. Yeah.
Boris, you're on mute.
Boris, you need to unmute.
Yeah, sorry. We have 2 exchange partners to list FNX together. But now you want to buy FNX, you have to go to Bitrue and Wanchain platform to buy it. One is the exchange on Wanchain is buy on smart contract. Yeah.
But
later we will list more exchanges, of course. Yeah.
But you cannot name any at this point in time.
Another one is BKEX.
That is fixed. We are going to list on these 2 exchanges together.
Yeah.
And later we are open to the bigger exchanges. But because the partnership hasn't been fixed, we cannot give you the specific name. But we can assure you that yeah, we're gonna list on exchange because the more exchanges, the more liquidity. We all know that.
Okay. And I've read that you also plan a staking model for FNX holders. Do you have more details on how this will work and when it will be possible?
Well, this is still in design at this point. I can share with you our most recent sort of brainstorm about this here. So we're talking about, where would value come from here for the FNX token. Now, of course, you have the governance rights up here at the top, and that's typical for any cryptocurrency these days. And then where it's probably more interesting to people is the different cash flows that are coming into the FNX model. So of course, we mentioned the centralized, or this should say decentralized options tokens, and then we have assets-backed tokens, and there'll be various fees that flow off of the origination of those assets. There'll also be market making that we do on these assets and these assets, and all of those fees will be shared with the FNX token holders. And then in the long run, we want to have kind of an SNX or synthetics collateral model where and we won't be copying them or anything like Tron did, but we will be, our own sort of idea of what a collateral token would be to bring in other assets, and they may not be, on-chain assets. So how this would work in terms of staking, we have two different pools of inflation. So one pool of inflation will start as soon as it's listed. So we call it the variable issuance pool. So that's a pool of 75 million tokens, or 15% of the total supply. And that particular pool has two functions. One, some of the profits will go to a buffer fund, kind of like what BitMEX has, or the Seifu fund of Binance. And we will just keep those tokens and whatever fees they are, because we're going to get fees in BTC and USDT in various amounts. We'll just keep that as a portfolio, and we'll manage that to be a safe fund. The other 75% of that will be used to redistribute the usage. We will convert those fees, and then we'll use that to buy FNX and probably burn the FNX or redistribute the FNX at the initial phases. We haven't specifically decided which mechanism we want to use, whether a burn or distribution. Probably at the beginning, we want to focus on getting the distribution of the token as far out and wide as possible amongst people who are active users of the platform. And initially, it's probably going to be a distribution. At some point, we might consider a burn. And the second pool we have of tokens is called operational reserves, 150 million tokens there. And for example, if we want to incentivize people to bring in assets onto Wanchain, right? So we need a little W BTC, not wrapped BTC, but WAN BTC. We may say, hey guys, you stake your BTC into Wanchain, and we'll compensate you with some of the FNX inflation so that we can have some actual collateral to issue the Bitcoins, the Bitcoin options. Then that way, it's sort of pegged in Wanchain, and then we can issue the assets on whatever chain we decide. Probably Ethereum, but also Wanchain. So whatever assets we need in the future, we can use some of that SNX inflation pool to encourage people to stake those assets in. So there's two different ways that you could stake in the FNX economy. You don't even need to stake FNX. You can stake other assets that we need as well. But of course, if you stake your FNX, you have right to fees, and those fees will be redistributed to you in some way.
Okay, thank you, Nicholas. We are approaching the end. Of just one question at the end from the XRP community. Is there any explicit relationship with Ripple? Have you talked to them? And you plan to take part in the wider XRP ecosystem, provide a validator, something like this?
I think a validator is easy. We can do that.
Yeah,
for
we
sure.
will
And
do
if we
it.
do that,
Yeah, it's
we're
it's
gonna need one.
necessary. It's convenient for development. We will run validator before UM1S issued on XRP Ledger.
And have you looked into the interledger protocol in terms of interoperability?
We did some research before on interledger protocol. I think it is one of our options for interoperability. But we need to see what will happen on its development process. I think it's not a complete development. Yeah. So we'll follow the process and see what will happen. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Thank you very much. Nicholas, why? Yeah.
What's that? In China, we have a famous saying that we always like to say. It doesn't matter if it's a black cat or a white cat, as long as it catches mice, then it's a good cat. So whatever tools that we need to use, whether it be interledger protocol or Uniswap or whatever it is that we run across in all of the cryptoverse, we're going to use it because our main vision here is to allow token holders to shape their risk. And we want to, eventually we'll have to educate, be a part of the education movement of telling people, hey, this is a risky thing. It's also a great thing. You got to manage your risk though. And we want to be able to make tools that make that happen. So whatever those end up being, we're going to do that. Whatever tools we need to use to make those things, we're going to use those.
Great statement. Thank you. Thank you, Boris. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Nicholas, for this interview, for your time on a Sunday. I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.